You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. I'm your boy Al Mega, and folks, you better buckle up your space boots and charge your neural implants, because today on the Comic Crusaders podcast, we're going to be diving headfirst into a cosmic mystery of epic proportions. I will be joined by two intergalactic creative juggernauts. One is an Eisner, GLAAD, and Ringo award-winning wordsmith. The other is an artistic mind-bender himself. I mean, together they're dropping a wild new 6-issue sci-fi film mind melter from Matt Cave Studios. The artist on this show is actually on issue 2. We'll be talking about that. And this book is called Vanishing Point, baby. So hit that hyperspace button, because we're going to talk time, space, meaning, and how this creative duo will be blowing up minds one paddle at a time. Who am I talking about? The one, the only Mr. Mark Russell and Ryan Alexander Tanner. Welcome to the show, fellas. How you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, the Vanishing Point Squad, the most creative duo. Listen, beautiful looking book. I got some pages to be showing off to the fellow Crusaders out there, so they could get enticed into picking up this book if they haven't, because it is, in fact, available now at your local LCS, and available for you to order anywhere. So make sure y'all gonna tune in, and you're gonna tune in. You're gonna learn why you need this book, and shame on you if you don't add it to your pull list after this. Shame on you. All right. Okay, so let's get into it. Origin story for both of you. I'm gonna start with my man Ryan, since he popped in first. All right, Ryan, where are you originally from? And the most important question of your life: what was the first thing in fandom you ever fell in love with?
Oh, wow. That's a heavy one. I'm from Oakland, California, originally.
All right.
Like most people that grew up in the Bay Area, I've been in Portland, Oregon for a long time now. What did I fall in love with? That's hard. I mean, the first thing I remember reading is like early issues of Marvel Comics Presents when I was a kid.
Okay.
That was what I remember. But I think the first thing that made me really be really into comics was Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, before his adjectiveless launch. And then when that came out, it was like, but that was, I think, what really pulled me in initially.
Oh, you're from that era. I got you. Just like me, man. Definitely. I get it. All right. And my man Mark in the building, baby. Talk about you. OG from, and your first love.
I am from Eugene, Oregon, so just down the road from Portland, Oregon, where I live now, where Ryan and I both live. So that's about as far as I made it in life. But I remember the first fandom, the first time I was kind of aware of comics or really even pop culture, was when my mom got me like a Superman hairbrush when I was 4 years old. She got it from one of those Avon catalogs. And I remember even as a 4-year-old thinking, like, well, how big do you have to have your own hairbrush? So it started me down the path to be a Superman fan. I'm still a huge Superman.
You have the most unique fandom find ever there. You have found your fandom through the Avon catalog via a Superman. I mean, if that is not an epic, how did you fall in love with I had this Superman hairbrush from Avon. I mean, what a fucking story. Yeah. I love it.
It was crazy. Yeah,
out of the 576 episodes I have done, you have the most unique way you got into the culture.
So when I went to the spinner racks in the supermarkets to get my comics for the first time, it was like the first comic I ever got was a Superman comic, because I recognized it from the hairbrush.
Funny. So you said, I want that. Excellent. Yeah. All right, now. So from hairbrush to that actual comic book, when you got your hands and actually met the man behind the logo, what was your first impression?
It's like, this is the greatest person who ever lived. Like, this is what we should build a religion around. We should build a religion around this guy.
I mean, yeah, kind of, right? It has so many of those aspects to the mytho, if you think about it, right?
I think that like this is kind of the point of Superman is like he's the kind of point of his real superpower is like how does he have all that power and not be corrupted? How does he not turn into a total
Superman
jerk?
is actually a story of a superpower Jesus, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. My man sent his last son, to another place. You know what I mean? All right. So I need to know this, Mark and Ryan, how in the multiverse did you two cosmic cowboys meet? Like, was it like a fate, a galactic accident, or was it some really good coffee?
Well, you can tell if you look, I was actually cloned from Mark.
I mean, yeah, you look like family.
Yeah, so he coughed into a petri dish, and 18 months later, I was fully formed, and he wanted to do a comic book, and
you're his mini-me, and that's it.
Ryan has cloned himself into a baby now, and so we're going to all three of us do a comic together.
Yeah, next year.
If they gonna clone each other to make a comic book that's gonna be as epic as this one, come on now, why not? Make it happen, baby.
That's what's gonna be all about cloning.
Yeah. You want to say what really happened, Mark?
Yeah, so we've known each other for a while just because proximity. We live in Portland. We know a lot of the same people because we're both in comics.
Community in Portland, isn't it? For comics,
yeah,
right?
You can't swing a cat without hitting comic artists and writers.
Yeah, cool.
We're everywhere. But he wrote this Muhammad Ali book that he sent me.
Oh, yes.
And I loved it. I thought it was just the best things I'd ever seen. So, and I thought he had a really great sort of indie, edgy style. And I thought I would love to do a sci-fi comic drawn this way. And at the time, I was really into writing a sci-fi. I really wanted to write a sci-fi anthology series, something where it didn't matter where you came in, which issue, where you read them, and that were kind of like old Twilight Zone episodes, but with my spin on them. And that's what I was looking to write. And when Ryan sort of came into my orbit with this Muhammad Ali book, I thought this would be a great, mishmash of styles.
Dig it. And about you, has he lied in any way about the connection, Ryan, about the bromance over here?
Oh, I don't. That's quite a challenge whether he lied. Well, the only other piece is I was doing a podcast, and I'm still doing a podcast where I talk about runs of comic books.
Really? Wait a minute. Talk about that podcast real quick. When do you drop it real quick in the name?
It's called The Runs, and it's on anywhere you get your podcasts, on Spotify and Apple. And I'm actually finishing recording the third season right now, so it should be out probably in July, I think. I got some good guests coming up. And so I invited Mark Russell, and I asked everybody at the end, what's your dream run? Like, if you could do anything, what would you do? And he said, I've always wanted to do this kind of Twilight Zone type series. And then I don't remember how much, maybe 3 months, 6 months later, I just Facebook messaged him and was like, hey, if you ever get going on that, I would love to draw one. Nice. And he said, let's pitch it. And I was kind of caught off guard by that.
You're like, oh shit, but I was just being nice.
I was just trying to, it just seemed like a cool idea. And then we pitched it. And then initially I was going to draw all 6 of them, and I drew 3 of them. And it was going to be every other issue, but now I did 2 and then 5 and 6. There was a scheduling thing where my last 2 got pushed together. So, yeah.
All right, but listen, man, you got in and getting that work. And so, Mark, your writing is always a sharp cocktail of satire and soul. So when did you realize you could punch reality in the gut with a pen, bro?
Yeah, I started out writing books, and it wasn't until I got offered a chance to write comics for DC that I realized that comics just work better for my brain. Because the thing I hated writing was like describing a scene or describing what people were wearing or, things like that. That was always sort of bogged down the writing. What I like writing is like one-liners or, big concepts and stuff. And so when I was able to comics, like all the stuff I hated to write, the boring stuff, I could just dump onto an artist, and that leaves me free to actually just tell the story I want. So my first comic ever was Prez, and that's what kind of got me hooked. It's like, because it's like, oh my God, it's so much nicer when somebody else can do the boring, and it's so much nicer as a reader to see something that can be shown visually than to have to hear someone describe something visually. Yeah, so it just felt like this is what the way I should be writing. I should be writing comics.
So you were like, oh my God, why didn't I not do this sooner in my life?
Yeah. Why was I wasting my time with those dumb old books?
Oh man. But awesome though on that. That's great. And so, was there a particular book you did that prompted DC to say, "Hey, Mark, we need you to do something for us"?
Well, for a long time, I thought it was my book about the Bible called God is Disappointed in You, which was a pretty successful book, and I was very proud of it. But it wasn't until I was at San Diego Comic-Con and I was telling my origin story about how I got into writing DC Comics,
Yeah.
and Marie Javins, who is my editor and is now the editor in chief at DC, was in the audience, and she stood up in the middle. Oh no, that's true. So I invited her up to the panel to tell my true story, my true origin story of how I got into writing comics. And she said it had nothing to do with your books. She's like, you were writing this Count Chocula fan fiction on Facebook. And I said, that guy should be writing a comic book. So I was just writing these funny little two-paragraph stories
Shit.
about Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and stuff. And she happened to read it and just thought this should be a comic book.
Oh my God. The
Dude.
least thing you think about. That is so funny.
I mean, I guess comics are kind of
I want to draw those. Let's pitch the
not
Count
really
Chocula
good
series.
from a weirdly, I've already, that was what got me into comics, that paved the way for me to get into comics. And one of the more recent comics I've done was like a collection of those. Like Ahoy published a collection of mine called Surreal, Sweet Darkness, which is like based on the original sort of Count Chocula and Frankenberry, Captain Crunch sort of fan fiction I wrote on Facebook that got me into comics. So there is a volume out there. If you want to read my Serial Monster fan fiction, it's out there.
That is so cool. My baby was they confused him with Frankenberry because he had a big head. But that's another thing.
Oh, wow.
Ryan. So Ryan, you've got a unique visual rhythm. So
Okay.
what's all your story, man? Like there one sketch that you made that said, yeah, man, I kind of dig what I'm doing here and I want to go forward. What made you or what madness got you into wanting to work in this industry?
I think when I was 10, I told my mom I wanted to do comics, and I just never went back. And I think for a while I thought I wanted to do a comic strip, and I read Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes 10th anniversary book, which was just all about him fighting with the syndicate and how restricting that the whole format was, and that kind of talked me out of it. Although I could have done web comics, I guess. It wouldn't have been much later. But I just always wanted to do comics. I don't know. It's just like, I think maybe it has something to do with my brain also, the way it works. Like there's something about structuring and organizing visually and drawing multiple things. There's just, I don't know what you would call it, what makes a person work that way. And I mostly came from nonfiction. This is sort of my breakout genre comic, because usually it's about like doing research and organizing like a deep dive into a concept or history or something. So this is more just taking a script and telling a genre narrative, which was very different for me, but also felt pretty natural.
All right, so let's get into this baby. I'm gonna put this baby on screen right now because Vanishing Point. It sounds like a sci-fi with existential teeth. So who woke up and said, let's question all of reality, but let's make it awesome?
Well, I like to take credit for it because I feel like these are stories that that illustrate what I think are like sort of like metaphors for what it means to be human or what it means to be alive.
I think, all right, so let me ask you here, because again, this is for my music fans too, and I want to see where you guys were at. If Vanishing Point was a playlist, what songs would be blasting in the background while someone's mind is exploding, for example, on page 3?
Oh, wow, that's a great one. I think maybe if I could put a song on the playlist, I think I'd have to put some Nine Inch Nails on there.
Sound resonant, baby, let's go.
maybe Perfect Drug. I'm going to put Perfect Drug on that playlist.
Okay.
Ooh, you agree, Ryan? I mean, he's there like, yeah.
I'm not going to disagree. He gets to make his own choices. I would put Senor Coconut. Do you know him? He does like kind of Roomba covers of Kraftwerk songs. That's what I would.
Kraftwerk.
Yeah.
I gotta listen to this now.
We can play it at the closeout.
Oh man, I'm thinking I gotta check this out. Now, all right, so which character in Vanishing Point now is like most likely to steal the show, and which one would you never let near your time machine?
What was the question?
All right, I'll repeat. Which character in Vanishing Point is most likely to steal the show, and then which one would you never let near your time machine?
Well, I think that the character most likely to steal the show is coming up in issue 2, and it's this character in a Jetsons. The whole issue takes place in sort of an off-brand Jetsons cartoon, but there's one character who clearly does not belong in the cartoon with the others, and I feel like he's the one that steals the show, and maybe also the one I wouldn't let anywhere near a time machine because he doesn't seem to want to be where he is.
Okay. So in one book we got. I cannot wait for this. But all right, but talk about this, man. This is the one that's in stores now. I mean, the first of all, who did the cover art for these two? I mean, that's dope and that's fire too. I mean, look at explosive. But
the main cover there is drawn by Christian Ward with the skeleton and the astronaut.
That's a tattoo right there, man.
Yeah, exactly. I would not be shocked if I saw that like on somebody's.
Even on some van art if they want to bring that back, you know.
Yeah, if he was like with a wizard, I could see that being painted on the side of the van, like a wizard handing him a joint.
Oh man, don't let us get together, man. They're gonna know is the old dudes fucking chilling over here. Yeah. All right. And this looks great too. I love red, and this the uses of red here. And
that's Juan Doe, and he also did the interior art on this issue.
Juan Doe, that's his real name. I love that Juan Doe. He's crazy. I love it. Fire. But again, I mean, looking at this book, so tell us a bit about issue 1 that's available now. What can you tease us? You know, because I definitely want to tease issue 2, even though we don't got images. But Ryan want to talk about that and his input. But tease us about this
Ryan, because issue 2, issue 1 is about a space miner. It's a guy who has agreed to go mine like asteroids in space, but the catch is that he's got to be gone from his family in this asteroid belt for 10 years, and he can't come home until he's done. Otherwise he gets nothing. But if he completes the mission, then he never has to work again because it pays so well because they want him to be in this asteroid belt for 10 years. But then something happens and he starts going crazy on board this spaceship, and it becomes a question about whether or not he's going to be able to make it back, not only alive, but with his sanity intact.
Jeez. All right. So, okay. So you're telling me that each issue it is one-off story within a 6-issue miniseries, and do they connect at all?
No, they're all completely different, not just worlds, but universes. Although there is one visual element that runs through all of them. There's one sort of commonality that runs through every issue, but I'm not going to tell anyone what it is because I want people to figure it out.
All right, but I'm thinking
you have to buy multiple copies of every issue to be sure that you found it.
I want this. Thank you for bringing some original storytelling in this fashion. You know, those one and done stories, but it's a franchise where we could collect. Please make it more than 6. I want you to do the Transformers thing where issue 7 comes out, and then it's issue 7 of 6. Okay. So
the good thing is that it is like an anthology, so we could just do this indefinitely if they wanted us to make more. I mean, there's no reason why
I don't think, listen, with Mary Cave, there is no if. I know that this is going to be wanted. This is what comic fans are looking for. We're looking for original stories to get away. And Mark, you're building up an artistic team that's kicking ass with some original stories that you've been wanting to tell. I mean, the love and passion just really comes off the page. And even, I mean, look at this page. Look at the panel work on it, the coloring, the lettering, everything. It's just magic, bro. And then look at this scene right here. It's like, there's the man that's like, that man thing. Gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah,
I love it. It
this
was
is
so
where
well.
it's where you earn your money right there.
Yeah, bro, the money shot, baby, for real. Again, and the 6 issues, baby, through Mad Cave. So, what was it about Mad Cave that was the perfect home for the story you wanted to tell?
Well, it's because I knew Mike Martz, who's my editor there. Knew him from other comics I worked on. I always really liked working with him. I knew he was at Mad Cave, and they'd done interesting stuff with science fiction, like other science fiction titles. So I thought, well, maybe they'd want, because usually you talk to a publisher, and as soon as the word science fiction anthology comes out of your mouth, they hang up on you. They don't want nobody in their right mind wants a science fiction anthology. But I thought, they've done some interesting science fiction stuff, and I had a good relationship with Mike, so I thought I'd give him a shot. And he and everyone else at Mad Cave seemed really excited about it from the beginning.
Dope. I dig it. So let me ask you, Ryan, how did you visually approach the story, your story? Then that you're building an issue too. Like once this Mark gave you the script and all, how did you approach the artistry behind it?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm used to doing a bunch of different stuff all the time, and I think you can always tell that I drew it if you look at my stuff, but I do kind of different styles for different stuff, or just like, what does this look like? So we talked a little bit about it being a Jetsons parody, so I looked at some of that stuff, and kind of what I wanted to take from it and what I wanted to make my own. And then it's just, I think more than anything for me, it's about like trying to capture the tone of it. And I think Mark's scripts is so easy to kind of connect with the tone of it. They're very vivid scripts. I can see it when I'm reading it.
All right, so be honest, because he was complaining about having to describe scenes. When he submits a script to you, you're still getting some type of description, I would suppose, right?
Yeah.
I
thought it was a great balance. I mean, I'm used to working with like nonprofits to take their messaging and turn it into a comic, which is like a lot of work just figuring out.
Here, this is what I want. Okay, but what else? I don't know. You're the artist.
Right. So he's able to go like page 3 is 6 panels, and this is what's in this panel. So it's all really vivid to me. Cool. And then also he gives me a lot of room too. Like I felt like each issue I did was a really distinctive world, and I could always kind of see it. And it gave me a lot of room to kind of think about what would dress that up. Like the one I always think of is the last issue, issue 6, is essentially like this robot arrives and is just killing everyone in this small town. And it takes place now. And I really like this idea of like the battle for humanity's survival is just happening in like rural America. And there's like a big action sequence. And I just was like, oh, it'd be like in the parking lot of a Walmart. So there's just like this Walmart parking lot, like tank versus robot scene. And that was just very funny to me, so just things like that, like making that specific. It's the scene he asked for, but it didn't say have a Walmart in the background. That's just what I thought would be there.
You're talking to me battle, so I want to talk about something. Of course, again, there's a comic book, it's a collaboration. So let's talk about those creative collisions. Were there any moments where maybe you disagreed on how reality should unravel within the story? And if so, how did you resolve it? Was it thumb wars or metaphors?
Mark's got a really short fuse, actually. He's really volatile. You're going to hear some stories about him.
He's explosive.
No, I mean, I've worked with a lot of people now, and like I said, mostly journalists and stuff, and I really like working with people who like to talk about the stuff. So I don't think we had any disagreements. We usually would like go get lunch once at the start of an issue and kind of like he would talk to me about general concepts, which I really like. And then he's quick on the email. Like there's a montage page in issue 2, and it just said, a montage of scenes. And I said, like, do you want me to come up with these, or do you want to? And then he, within an hour, sent me like this full list of. So
I love it.
I don't think we butt heads on anything. It was more like as I was drawing it, if I wanted to check in, I could kind of ask him.
That creative collaboration, because that's part of the journey. Because again, my man's trying to tell a story, and I can't imagine, Mark. Again, you're working with different artists to tell these stories. So it must be heavy on you having to deal with different personality. That's why I ask, just to learn how you guys deal with that and that type of work. Because again, a lot of people deal with that. You know what I mean? Especially these young creators, like how are they going to learn to collaborate? And seeing OGs like you guys work the way that you guys are working is pretty dope. I love what you're saying about Marcus. That he lays it out in easy peasy, because Mark feels so relieved that he knows that he can trust somebody like you to do that living that he's tired of writing books. So I dig it. I see this energy you guys got. So this is why I know that this book is gonna be the book. Listen, this series is a must read for fans of Black Mirror, The Twilight Zone, Love, Death, and Robots, which is fire. You know that. So this is gonna be fire. It's Vanishing Robots. It's in shots right now, baby. You gotta make it happen. Now, was there maybe a panel scene or sequence where everything just clicked, like creative fireworks between the two of you, that you guys, when that page came in, that you guys said, "Oh my God, if you were here, I would hug the shit out of you right now." Mark?
I think for me, the panel sequence that like really kind of like brought chills, like it caused the hair on my arms to stand up. There's a sequence in one of the issues of Ryan, I think it's now issue 5, where there's a guy in prison who wants to die, and they won't let him die, or it's like a hospital. It's like a mental health hospital where people are on death watch, but this guy wants to kill himself, but they won't let him do it because they're there to prevent people from killing themselves. And he joins this club of like other inmates who want to die, and they bring him into like the tool shed, which is the one place where they're sort of not supervised, and they're going to kill him in the tool shed with like an axe or some gardening tools that are in there. And then he changes his mind at the last second, and it's just horrifying because they're going to go through it, and then he just sort of like chickens out at the last possible second. And it's just a chilling scene. It's like visually.
You see that knife coming at you, you'll be like, you know what? No.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
I cannot wait to read this. It sounds like hella fun. I'm excited. I'm excited. So maybe between us, are there maybe any hidden Easter eggs or personal nods tucked within the Vanishing Point that maybe only hardcore fans or even your moms might catch?
Well, for me,
there's one very go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. Yeah. For me, just when I was drawing it, there's just some people I know in it that are, like you said, there's the death group, the 3 people that help him try to commit suicide. Those are all people I know. And there's a cameo in the last issue of a guy who's like a comics promo guy that I've known a long time. And so there's some of that. There's like some real people, and it's more just like needing a character that's in 2 panels to look like something. Say, oh, make it look like. So there's a little bit of that for me. How about you, Mark?
Just the one that I mentioned earlier, like the visual element. That's sometimes just in the background and sometimes really prominent, but I won't give it away. But that was the one sort of Easter egg. Otherwise, they're completely different universes, and I want them to be as like abstract and fictional as possible.
So I love to learn again about collaboration. So may I ask you guys about your collaboration and how it's evolved over the course of the series? Like, what has surprised you the most about working together?
Well, I think it's helped that it was sort of a long process. Like to start, when we were pitching it, Ryan drew a couple of like sample pages. So that gave us sort of like an introduction to collaboration with each other. And I feel like when I'm collaborating with an artist, particularly an artist that I've never worked with before, it's so much easier if you have these conversations at the beginning. If you talk about what your vision is at the beginning, than waiting till they're like 20 pages deep into something and then trying to change stuff, or getting mad at them because it's not like what you wanted. So we had a lot of conversations at the beginning when we were doing the sample pages and like sort of revisions and stuff. And then I just sort of set it and forget it. It's just like, well, he's got it now, and he's got his own vision. Just sort of like this is what a collaboration is. It's like letting people know what you want, what your expectations, and then handing it over to them and letting them run with it with their own creativity. And I feel like I'm usually better served by interfering less, because Ryan's visuals are almost always better than what I would have told him to do.
Beautiful. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, no, like I said, they're really vivid. He was really good about like kicking around ideas as we went too, which I really, really like that. And then the only thing that was I kind of had to get the hang of is my issues are hand lettered, which is like I'm like the last living hand letterer on the planet.
Oh my God! Really? Look, what an old fogey over here.
I know. I gotta tell some kids to get off my lawn. Hold on. And, but there was just a learning curve for that in terms of like if this is going to be translated or when's the final script in. Like it's just not how anyone works anymore. So I just made a lot of extra work for myself by like the first issue I drew, I lettered on the boards, and then it was like, don't do that. And then even lettering, and then I'm like lettering and then scanning it and sticking it in digital, and it's just like, what am I doing? But I just like it better so much the way it looks. So
man, there's a flavor to it, man. We grew up with men of a certain era, and we like our things the way we like them, and that's what it is. And it's all good, you know. All right, so I have just two more questions. Well, actually three before we go. You've both done brilliant bow work, all right? So what's different about Vanishing Point? You know, let the fans know, and why did these stories demand to be told now? I'll start with you, Mark.
Well, they're not. I wouldn't say they're political, but they all like seem to have like real timely social meaning to me. They all seem to have resonance. And I've never worked in this sort of genre before, where it's like very twist heavy science fiction. And I honestly think the twists work. I don't feel like it's a gimmick. I feel like they are needed, and they underscore the meaning of what I'm trying to say in these issues. So I'm just incredibly proud that it all came together the way it did.
Fantastic. What about you, Ryan?
I mean, honestly, I just think Mark Russell is a really smart writer. You know, I think he really thought about this, and I don't feel like you get enough of this where it's like, this is really what this guy wanted to do. It's a very like uninterfered with, compromise free. It's hard to get a publisher to release something that is each issue separate. And so if you like Mark Russell's work at all, which I think he's got quite a fan base, this is really like a big project for him. And I think he's a really good thinker, like this is really artists carrying out these ideas he had that he was just genuinely interested in. And I mean, I got to see too, like the plot outlines and how much they evolved between like the initial pitch and the final thing. So it was really cool for me to get to see kind of how your thinking develops, that process. Yeah. But I think it's like a very like pure creative vision. Mad Cave did not interrupt anything. They didn't pull anything.
Mad Cave rocks, baby. Woo!
Yeah. I was really made an impact on me how much they just kind of let us do our thing. So that, yeah. And like, I think, it's, when I read your stuff, like I read Snagglepuss and like just the social commentary of it and the humanity and everything, like putting those things together into like a sort of a sci-fi horror Twilight Zone-esque framework. I just think it really, really works. It's something that I'm always happy to work on projects that I want this thing to exist. Like I would be interested in this if I hadn't worked on it. So it was really cool to get to be a part of it.
Yeah, baby. We can't wait. Again, issue 1 is out now. It's monthly, you know what I mean? So we're going to have some fun. 2 more questions now. Of course, I got to ask. It is convention season, baby. So, are you guys going to be anywhere anytime soon where fans can say hello, get a signed copy of one of your amazing projects or anything? What's popping? I'll start with Mark over here. You doing any shows coming up? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing a lot of shows this year. And in fact, the big one in San Diego, Ryan and I are doing together. We're going to do signings at the Mad Cave booth. We're going to probably be on some panels together. So if you're at San Diego, you got the big show, come by and get your copy of Vanishing Point signed.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to see you guys there for sure then.
Oh, great. Cool.
I'm in already. Yeah. I got approved. Got the telly. Got the plane flight. Let's go. Party time. Yeah, man. I'm ready for it. All right. So this is it, fellas. This is it. This is the last question. I need each of you. I'm going to start with Ryan on this one.
Okay.
I need you to give us the wildest one-liner pitch you can for Vanishing Point. Go full movie, trailer voice, epic, and observe aloud. So go nuts.
Oh no, I gotta get into character here. I'm not gonna be able to do that. I got a baby inside. I'm half awake and I've been drinking coffee this whole time. But I just keep saying it's Mark Russell's Twilight Zone or Mark Russell's Black Mirror if you're a younger person.
If you're a youngin.
Yeah, which I think is a really strong pitch personally. It makes me interested.
Wepa. All right, Mark, sell it, baby. Sell it.
Okay, so Vanishing Point is, I'm going to sell this from a personal level. I feel like this is the comic my life has been leading up to. Ooh. I feel like this is the thing where it's these are the stories in their purest form, where I'm not trying to build on characters. I'm just trying to tell you a story that you can read in 20 pages and then walk away from and never have to deal with again. So to me, it's the urgency of it. It's if I was dying, bleeding out on the ground, this is and I only had 10 minutes to live. This is the kind of story I might tell.
No.
Damn. Holy shit.
Not
that
bad.
is deep.
I'm not saying I want that to happen.
From the crazy origin of fandom to the wildest pitch yet I've heard, Mark, you have won. Man, I gotta start making trophies. I think you've won this year so far. You're in the lead.
Right.
I love it. You guys have great energy. I'm very excited to see this book. And folks, again, issue 1 is available now at your favorite LCS. It's also available in the Mad Cave Studios shop. So, make sure to check it out. You can follow the fellas out here. You can follow Ryan. I believe that's Instagram, right? At Oh Yes, Very Nice.
That should work on Instagram, yeah.
And then you can follow Mark on X and stuff about everywhere at Man Russ. That sounds like such a manly tag, right? Man Russ.
Yeah, a manly walrus. Yes, and I'm on the Blue Sky and the Instagram.
I love it, Mark. You guys rock, man. Ryan, thank you guys for your time. You know what it is? This is Al Mega with these amazing creative duo. Please support this book. It is Mad Cave Studios independent comics at their best. Issue 1 now. Then you pick up issue 1. Then you go to that register, and when you pay for that, you look at your comic book man and the aisle lady and be like, can you please add this to my pull list? Mm-hmm. Right? It's a 6-issue series that eventually I'm going to see it. I can't wait to see it. Issue 7 of the 6-issue series, when that come out, it's going to be fire because this is going to continue. It's come on, but it's the Russellverse, baby, with that time of art smacking it around. Wepa, let's go, baby. Comic Crusaders all the way. Have a great weekend, baby. You know what it is. Wepa! Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.